Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. As we continue our journey through the current Omega Watch catalog, today we discuss a Moonwatch that won't be traveling to our satellite anytime soon, but nonetheless soars on craft beauty, attention to detail, and rarity. This is the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch Co-axial Master Chronometer Moonphase Chronograph, a grandiose name for a watch that deserves it. You can see on my 16cm circumference wrist, this watch that bowed at Basel 2016 has immense presence in 18-karat yellow gold. It is a 44.25mm diameter case that wears compact across the wrist because of a tidy 50mm lug-to-lug measurement, so though this is a 44 plus, nevertheless, it will fit on wrists as small as 14 centimeters in circumference due to that short lug-to-lug dimension. The timepiece has immense substance about it. You can feel the privilege and the presence of all of that gold on the wrist, and a mighty 17.2 millimeters thick. This one stands proud of the forearm. Between the lugs, the spacing is 21 millimeters, should you wish to accessorize with an Omega OEM replacement strap, but I do recommend you consider this stock unit because it's been beautifully paired with the yellow of the case, the yellow and black particularly striking. High quality, large rectangular scale alligator leather in a matte finish, black with a monotone stitch and folded edges. It's slim, it's supple, it's comfortable, and on the other underside, it is calfskin. The watch features a richly appointed clasp to match. As you can see, both satin and polished finish, twin triggers responsible for the disengagement of the mechanism. So this is not friction fit, nor does it use a cheap clamshell. Triggers the upscale answer to keeping a clasp secure. Now you will note the interior of the clasp features both engine-turned perlage and satin finish, but it also has a functional logic to it as it tucks any excess length underneath the body of the clasp, so when buckled down and sized, there is no excess strap length flapping in the breeze, and there's no need for minder loops to mar the lines of the strap. The timepiece features a classical Omega sports watch case band as it has large, flared and polished bevels contrasting with satin-finished sheer sides. The accentuation of the case band tapers in glorious fashion with a sort of planted foot at each side, keeping the lines of the case graceful but also constrained in absolute dimensions to make this watch compatible with smaller wrists. Now let's get a little bit closer, afford ourselves some more light, and appreciate some of the details that set this watch apart from the pack. You will note a polished outer circumference to the cantilevered classical Speedmaster tachymeter scale bezel. And now let's look at the tachymeter scale because it requires some explanation. And the first thing is that a tachymeter is used for gauging the speed of an object between 2 points. So for example, a car moving very quickly, between the start and finish of a standing kilometer, you start the chronograph and you stop it when the car completes the interval, and then you simply read the speed off the bezel. But then there's also the materials to keep in mind, as this black and yellow gold ceramic bezel features both ceramic and inlaid gold that has become permanently part of the bezel itself, so we call it Ceragold, ceramic and gold. It's effectively as scratch resistant as a sapphire crystal, and this watch features a particularly luxurious cambered box section sapphire that evokes the charm of a vintage plexiglass, but gives you the scratch resistance and clarity of modern sapphire. I should mention that underneath we have a dial of glorious opaline silver, so that is to say it has a very subtle pebbly texture, and then each individual index hand applied and diamond polished yellow gold, fully loomed. There will be a loom shot. Chapter rings in corresponding polished gold representing the sub-registers. Yellow gold hands at center, themselves loomed with a few shocks of red, well chosen. They pop against the silver base. Now the Moonphase, a traditional crescent style Moonphase, but there's nothing traditional about the composition of the disc. It is simply opulent. What you're looking at is 18-karat yellow gold, hand engraved, surrounded by a sea of blue enamel that is then sprinkled with silver dust to create the image of the cosmos and the Milky Way beyond. Now, the watch features a unique quickset. Unlike many other Omega coaxial calibers, this one doesn't feature a time zone stepper for the hour hand. Rather, it features a double quickset, so you can rapidly adjust and correct the Moonphase and rapidly adjust and correct the crosshair format lunette indicated radial date at 9 o'clock. There is more on the caseback, believe it. Also, shear guard profiles for the crown and chronograph pushers. Turning the watch over, you see that this watch actually features two types of gold. Bold with the original gold, yellow gold on the outside. The watch has a warmer appearance about its caseback with a contemporary rose gold, 18 karat for the winding mass as well as the bridge. You will note Omega plowing its own furrow and marching to its own drummer with a spiral Côte de Genève in arabesque form with blackened rather than more traditionally blued or polished screws. You will note a column wheel function selector that makes the actuation of the chronograph crisp and sharp. You can feel it, you can hear it. It's a tactile pleasure, it's an audible pleasure, and it's the traditional way, albeit slightly more complex and difficult to tune, to manufacture a chronograph, but that's how Omega does with its flagship chronograph mechanisms. Now, there's also a vertical clutch, which means you can engage the chronograph and there will be no jump or stagger to the hand because there's no play in a vertical clutch system, but at the same time, you can leave a vertical clutch chronograph operating as there's no additional wear and tear. So if you like to have your hours, your minutes, and your seconds at center, just use chronograph seconds, leave it running. The vertical clutch allows you to do that. Let's talk about resistances. 100 meter water resistant for this watch, so though it is somewhat dress appropriate and formal in gold, nevertheless, this watch can be put on a rubber or textile strap and used for swimming. Let's go deeper. Shock resistance. Full balance bridge with a free-sprung index for shock resistance. Omega Si14 silicon hairspring for anti-magnetic properties. It's almost amagnetic, resistant to over 15,000 Gauss of magnetic flux density. Twin mainspring barrels in series, endowing the watch with a 60-hour power reserve and very even torque release to the escapement for the duration of that power reserve from maximum wind to minimum wind. The watch does feature a hacking or stop seconds function should you wish to synchronize it to the second against a reference time, and it is a chronometer, a master chronometer. So it has the George Daniels invented coaxial alternative escapement system that extends maintenance intervals and improves timing stability, but it also adheres to the new METAS chronometer standard created by Omega and the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology. As administered, it encompasses the same timing standards and better that a movement will face with a COSC chronometer test. Instead of 5 positions like the COSC test, a METAS chronometer is tested in 6, and instead of being tested as a bare movement, as in the COSC test, a METAS chronometer movement, a master chronometer, is tested as a fully cased up watch. 6 positions, fully cased up watch, resistances, winding efficiency, power reserve. It's simply a more comprehensive test of the completely assembled watch, the consumer product that you take home and wear on your wrist. Therefore, it is more representative as a certification of the watch's capabilities and quality. You can learn more about this and the entire contemporary Omega watch collection on our website, govbergwatches.com. And we return with the Moonwatch Moonphase, glorious in silver, black, and yellow gold by day, no nonsense, highly legible. You can see the full luminescence of the dial with the triple index at 12 for orientation, all the hands luminescent so you can gauge hours, minutes, and seconds when you leave your chronograph running. At night, the watch is full-featured, lush, and luminous. See it by day on govbergwatches.com.